Oh,
I
Danielle.
think it was Danielle.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks for letting me in, Julie. I went back to the page and I could get into the Zoom link, but I couldn't find the password. It was I don't know if my internet bars are low or something, but things are like not showing up and we're out of retrograde, so I don't have any excuses. I don't know what to do.
It's your fault.
I'm technologically very like from the 40s. This is
Me
yeah.
too. I'm a Gen X. When it comes to computers, it's like, yeah, no, not gonna happen. I
Oh,
get my son to do it all.
I need a personal assistant, and that person's coming at some point in my life if I want to be successful on these freaking platforms. Oh my God.
All right.
Terrible.
We're going to go ahead and get started just real quickly. And
Come
what was
on.
that?
That was not me.
Because Sarah does that. Her computer does that in class. She don't hear
Is
it.
that mine?
It's got to be. It's the only one I ever heard do that.
Yeah. Is it annoying? Because I can't really
If it
hear
annoys
it.
us, I'll mute you. Okay. If it annoys us, I'll
Okay.
just mute you, and then you can just come back up.
Well, I'll then move now. So
Okay. All righty. I know that we have a couple of people coming in at 10 after. I'll let them in while we get started. So I just want to welcome everyone to our panel of trance mediums. I'm your host, Julie. And as you know, this is Debbie Charlton. Raise your hand, Debbie. I wrote this down because I could remember it. Trance medium, mentor, teacher of trance healing. And Debbie also runs development circles and works with students from beginners to advanced levels. If you guys are interested, you can contact Debbie.
Thank you.
This is a sales pitch. I just figured I'd let you know that. She's fantastic. And we have Milada Rice. She's a trance medium, mentor, and physical medium. I might give her that title because she's proven it.
Thank
And
you.
Milada
Nice
and
to
I
be here.
also work together as a interphysical mediumship class.
It's wonderful. Thank you, guys.
Then we have Kaz, trance medium, healer, mentor, and teacher of trance. Kaz works with students from intermediate to beginner. I should say beginners to intermediate levels. She's got a class coming up. And I think you do too, Debbie. Oh, you just started your new class, right?
Mine's has just started, yeah.
Yeah. And Kaz and then we have Kim, trance medium and mentor. She's taking on mentoring. I'm trying to talk her into it. Teacher, she can teach trance too, but she'll get there. She won't do it yet. So today we're glad you're here. We're going to be discussing trance. I want to start off with blending, the blending process of it. And I'm going to have Debbie explain it because Debbie and Kaz to me have it down packed when it comes to explaining blending. And I'd like for you guys to ask any questions, put it in the chat. We're going to start with the foundations. Debbie, sorry, but I put you on the spot.
No, you're fine, and you're good. This is just what I was talking about to my beginners, so it's absolutely fine. So blending is probably one of the most important things when it's coming to your development, when we look at development. The first thing that you have to think about is your alignment, okay? The blend that we're sitting in. The reason why it's important, that's the power that's going to sustain you as you work. So the blending is taking your time, being aware, relaxing the body first. We have to spend the time. The time that you spend will determine whether you have a good connection, okay? So first of all, we want to make sure the body's relaxed, and then we want to connect to your breath. You want to start feeling your natural breath, so you know what the difference between your natural breath is and when the breath starts to take over, because your breath will, believe you me. So when you're actually going down, you're concentrating, you relax the body so that you can then go into the flow. You start by grounding to the earth. So you should feel your feet connected to the earth. When the body's relaxed, you will feel that. If you're not relaxed, you won't feel it. Okay, so you feel the body connected to the earth, and then you start coming up your chakras. You start breathing in, and this is why the breath's important. Breathing into your base so you can feel yourself held. Okay, when you're held, you'll let go. You'll allow yourself to go into the flow of feeling the connection. So as you come up your chakra points, when you come up to the head, okay? So when you take your awareness to your head, this is the way I always explain it. So if you think about it, that you're aware that you can feel this connection above your head. You can feel as if, it's almost like as if there's a string connected holding you in place, okay? When you feel that, you will also feel the connection of the earth. You will feel the flow going down through the earth, coming back up through your body, back up to connect to the divine. That's the first thing and that's called attunement. You're attuning into the divine. You're attuning into the source of power. So as you sit within that essence, you will feel it. You can't not feel it. And then what happens is when you come into your heart, you start to breathe into the heart, you start to expand. So you become less aware of this and more of your expansion. That's why it's really important to start with the grounding. You're grounding, ground first, connect through your breath. Feel the essence of the connection. So as you sit within your solar plex, so when you feel that essence, that connection, come into your solar plex, because as you sit in your solar plex, you'll be aware of two things at the same time. You'll be aware of the power of the connection through the earth, and you'll be aware of the connection through the divine. And the difference being, when you're in the connection with the divine, you're not using your own magnetic energy, your own energy that we all have, that we end up letting go of if we don't be in perfect alignment. And the reason being why it's important. So why is it important, this connection? Because that's what sustains you as you work. If you don't have this connection, you'll come out of your power. Your guides don't step back from you. It's you lose the connection because it's not strong enough.
But when you agree descending within, holding spirit that way, when expansion, you don't mean for them to expand out. The expansion comes naturally, right?
It comes completely naturally, yeah. But it's the being aware of the alignment first. So I'm sitting in my power. Okay, I feel the sense of my power now. I expand, so you become less aware of this harder feeling connection because you're expanded. Yeah, so think about it like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about you, Kaz?
Very, very similar. I teach the grounding, coming up through the chakras, which I call sitting in the power. It is slightly expanded, but we always link into source to get that perfect alignment that Debbie was talking about. And that is what I call topping your battery up. It's building your connection, building the power. And the more that we do that, it gives us the heightened energy to link to spirit, to hold the connection, like Debbie was saying herself, to hold the connection to your guide. So it's important when you are a beginner to learn that getting your roots down into the ground, pulling the energy up through each chakra point, and to breathe in and out of each chakra to get that vortex working all the way up to source, to be held as above and so below. And when you've sat in that power for quite a while, then it's the time to take the descent down into trance, because you need to get into that theta state to be able to let go and allow the guide to come in and blend very strongly, to allow to let go and speak through the voice box. There is a question I'm going to pose later on to the other trance mediums to see what their points of view is, because to me there's a fine line between channeling and trance speaking. For me, from what I've witnessed from the students, is you normally start off and you hear spirit in your mind and you start relaying what's coming through there as a message. But to get deeper into that theta state, to allow spirit in close, they will speak directly. through your voice box. So to me, that's the difference in the change. And you need to be grounded. You need to have that power to get that stronger connection, to be able to relax and to let go.
Yeah, there's a lot going around now bypassing the blending process and the trance process and just starting to speak where it's not really trance. Milada, would you like to chime in?
There you go. Yeah, I completely agree with what Kaz and what Debbie has said about the blending process and the importance of it. And I also feel like that blending process, they talked about the importance of practicing it, also practicing that deep relationship with your guides. The guides, sometimes we think of spirit as like I'm here and spirit is there. Well, they're not separate from us. We are one. We're one with everything. And so practicing that feeling of that unity, it's really where our mind is. Our mind's the vibration that we're seeing from. Are we seeing from the place that we are in unity with spirit, with the divine, and knowing that we are that divine? So when you're blending and you practice that blending and you develop that relationship with your guides, this starts to really be an automatic feeling. Like Debbie was saying, it's natural for us to be in unity with spirit. That's our natural state, is to have that vibration and that unity. And also just commenting on what Kat said about trance versus channeling, and I agree with that, because channeling, it's not quite as deep a state. It's not as passive a state. The passive versus the active mind, in mental mediumship, we're an active mind where we're receiving messages and the mind is engaging. And in channeling, there's still a little bit of that activity of that translation from spirit to who we're speaking to. Whereas in trance, we're in a passive state. We're in a vibration of total blend, total allowing, total unity with spirit. So thank you.
And thank you. What about you, Kim? You want to chime in on it?
Yeah, I mean, it's all correct. I think what we need to remember is that the blend with your team is crucial, because we are coming together. We are we are unity, like Malata says. And in order to get in unison, you have to have that blend. And therefore, now we become the receiver from spirit, through spirit, to spirit. And, so they can share their divine wisdom and knowledge through us. Absolutely. So that blend is crucial.
Cool. So then you have some people that ask questions about the blending process. Some experience or feel that it may feel unstable or inconsistent. The nervous system can become overwhelmed. What would you say, Debbie, to them? If I came to you and said, if I was a new student and said, I feel overwhelmed with the blend, it's not stable.
That's understandable, because think about it in terms of frequencies. When we're connecting in, we're connecting into different frequencies. So you can have a student that comes along this is new to them, okay? So this is in the sense of whoever's doing the teaching, they're tuning in to where that student is, where the student's energy is, okay? Sometimes that student will feel maybe nausea. The student will feel maybe like pains in the legs as they tune into the vibration. And as the teacher, it's the teacher being aware of that they can then help the student to be aware that through the breath, when they connect through the breath and they breathe into that, what they do is they start to stabilize the energy. They start to stabilize their nervous system, because what's happening is the nervous system is reacting, so the body's reacting to the frequency. And what brings us into alignment with the frequency is the breath. So as you breathe into it, you stabilize it. And then they learn to say, right, this is the level that I'm comfortable at. So they learn through their own experiences by connecting through their breath. They can see, right, okay, this is starting to feel better. I understand. So it's working with the breath and working with the frequencies, but as a teacher, tuning in to know where they are at that time, which is really important, because that's what will make the student feel safe. So think about it when you're sitting within the energy. A teacher's job is to tune into the energy of the group or individually with the student, know where the student is and know what level to take the student to. It's all about the energy and it's all about the breath and allowing the student to be aware of that so that they feel safe within the energy. And that's up to us as a teacher, that they feel safe where we are with them, but given the tools to know what to do if they do feel out of sync with the energy. It's like I teach about levels. You're at this level here, your body's reacting to that level. So if we breathe into it, what we do is we start to slow that energy down and we come into alignment with it. And they start to feel the sense of their body settling down, the nervous system settling down, and then they move forward from there.
But she answered all questions, didn't she? Anybody else? I don't have to go to anyone else about that. So I do want to, what I've seen a lot happening is a lot of people coming into this to trance mediumship and they're trying to bypass the blending, for example, or they want an instant development. So I would like to go on what happens when we blend and we try to bypass that blending. In other words, it's like we're blending and maybe it's the imagination. Maybe people really feel like they're blended. I'm going to go to you first, Kaz, on this one.
I knew you were. You do experience this quite a lot when you're teaching beginners because there's a lot of misinformation out there. And it's all about letting go of your human mind will cause so much havoc if you let it. So you've got to get into the blend. You've got to learn to take control, to let the mind go back, to have that quiet mind. And that's one of the hardest things to do within the trance. And you do this by starting to blend first, by grounding the energy and coming up through those chakras and breathing, like Debbie was saying. So bypassing all that, you might think you're in a blend, for say, like for the arguments of when we go out into the breakout rooms and your teacher's telling you to make sure that you take that time to blend for 10 minutes before you bring any messages through, and you just instantly start boom, with the messages there. That is not trance energy. That might be coming through psychic awareness. It might be coming through mental mediumship, but it is not trance. You must take that time to breathe, to get into that vibration, to let spirit connect in and allow spirit to come through to speak. And to me, there's a lot of this spiritual bypassing goes off because they're wanting to rush the journey. They're wanting to have the gold star so quickly. And it takes control. It takes dedication. Plus, you must have big word of this whole year that my guide's been bringing forward is discernment. You know, is it you? Is it spirit that's speaking? Well, if you're totally blended and you're in that state of allowance and you can feel yourself back here, what's coming through will be spirit with your essence in as well to start with, until you really learn the energies of blending and breathing and totally letting go, and then you're totally going to get spirit through. So you can't rush that process. And so many just want to go, boom, that's it, I'm speaking trance, where it's not. You will know if you wake up straight away like that with your eyes wide awake, as soon as you've finished, you've not been in trance energy. It will take a while for your energy to adjust, to come back down via the breathing, to feel your energies come back in down to normal, then you'll open your eyes. So for those, if you're witnessing, are coming straight out of a trance blend like that and they're back to normal, no, you've not blended. So there's been more of you with a psychic aspect maybe, or maybe mental mediumship, and it's not been spirit. Is that what you meant, Julie?
Yes.
Yes, perfect.
You know, it can create emotional instability during the settings too.
Mm.
So, yeah. Milada, did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I guess again completely resonate with what Debbie and Kaz have said, and I love Debbie what you said about how if you're at a certain level of vibration and you need to know yourself where you're comfortable and where you not rush that, because there's really no substitute for taking the time through that process. There's just no substitute. You can't force spirit. I mean, it's like if you were learning to play the piano, you wouldn't become Mozart tomorrow. You know, you would have to take the time to do the work, to do the practice, so that the body, mind, the essence, the nervous system, particularly, like Debbie said, has to adjust to the level of spirit and the allowing that you're doing. The mind has to adjust and be ready to accept that. And also, as Kaz alluded to, you know, if you're bringing through a part of yourself, then your readings or the messages that are coming through for others' benefit are not going to be pure spirit. They'll have the coloration of your ego mind, and I don't mean ego mind in a necessarily in a negative way, but your life experiences, your traumas, your joys, your wishes, all of that from your own mind will be coming through instead of pure spirit. And what we really want for the benefit of those that are listening to spirit is to really have spirit so that they really get that purity. So I totally agree with what you gals said.
Oh, thank you. Kim?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everybody. And I guess that, like Malata is saying, ego. Yes, when people start this journey, I guess the question to ask is why? Why did you start it? What's the rush? There is no finish line. It is about the journey. So don't put the cart before the horse. Take your time, because most of us get into this to be of service. If I'm not, wrong, don't we? To be of service. We are the voice for spirit. So if you don't have that proper blend, put your ego in check, take your time, allow spirit to work with you and through you, then you're going to get the proper results at the proper timing. Why? Because you've decided to blend with spirit properly at where you're comfortable with with your team, right? And then the magic happens. You step back, get out of the way, and let them do their job with you. And it's really that simple. I think as humans, we make it harder. We think that there's a finish line and we want to rush through the process. And so then once you get there, then what? Right? Take your time. Just take your time. And it'll all fall in as it should, with the proper breathing, with the alignment, with grounding, and the alignment with source. You stepping out of the way, relaxing, feeling comfortable enough, and trusting your team in that beautiful partnership that you have built with them, and then allow them to do their job with you, because you're the voice and they're sharing the wisdom and knowledge. So, yeah.
Louise, when you say, are we speaking about spirit, and you say, what do you mean people that are past? We're speaking about our guides primarily for this particular panel. It's for a trance with our guides, but other spirits do come through and speak to us through us. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I would like to keep it more on towards our guides. And she also asked, do you sound Do you surround yourself with white light as well for protection when you channel or trance speak, Debbie?
I always reach out with love, the deepest love and gratitude whatever work I do, whether I'm going to teach a class or whether I'm doing a healing, whatever I do, I just put my intentions there that I'm reaching out in the deepest love and gratitude. And what comes forward and know is within the essence of the way I work. I've always worked like that. It's our thoughts, it's our intention, it's nothing else. When we put fear there, we create fear. When you put love and gratitude, that's what's coming back to you. And that's the way I've always worked.
So now we get into the guides. You hit the foundation of blending. Debbie, I'll stay with you for a moment. Would you like to speak about blending with your guide?
Okay, this is a bit I love. I love blending with the guides, right? And the first thing I want to say is you don't need to know their names. You don't need to know what they were, what they did, anything about them. Think about it like this. You've met a new friend, okay? When you sit with that friend, are you going to say, what's your name? What did you do? What was your occupation before this? No. You sit and you get to know them. You get to know what their energy feels like. That you're comfortable with them, that they're comfortable with you. That you know going into that, say that friend's house, you know the energy in that house, you're familiar with it. So the more familiar you become with your guides, your friends, the more that you let go. And the more that you let go, the more that connection becomes stronger because you gain a trust in them and they are able to come closer to you. So the first thing is I've been aware of my main guide I've been aware since I was a child. But it was almost just as in this distant feeling to begin with as a child. And as I got older, that feeling, when he started to work with me, I already knew the essence of the energy because it was already familiar with me. Now, my main guide, my Native American, Yusuf, I didn't know his name until probably 5 years ago. And he's been with me. I physically seen him when I was 4. So it's taken me all that time, but it's the essence of feeling the energy, allowing them to connect with you, but get to know them as if you would, the same way you would with a friend. This is what I feel is one of the most important things. People get wrapped up in the sense, I want to know them, want to know what their name is, and to me, it's not the point in it. The point is to get to know them.
Stunts
Yeah.
your development if you're constantly worrying about
Mm-hmm.
who they were in their lifetime, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because your
So,
mind's there, you're not letting go.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what, back to one of the questions I think Louise was asking about. I think Kim had mentioned let go of ego and, in a minute, I keep losing this spot. Sorry, guys. Let go, ego, these are questions, or just connecting more with your guides. When she says let go, I think she means allow.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, allow.
And
Just
ego,
allow the process.
yeah, I think Kim was the one that mentioned it, yeah. And to let go, ego can be a term, many different things, because right now we're all in our ego, right? But it can also be an exaggerated ego. So you just gotta let go of ego. In other words, you just gotta surrender, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
yes. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm going to go through the guides before I ask the questions that you guys are putting up here. So, Malata, what about you? Guides?
Yeah, it's so interesting because if we try to put a face and a name to a guide that we have coming forward, we can often be rushing that process, as Debbie alluded to, because our human mind is wishing for something. Maybe we have, an admiration for a particular figure in history or something like that, and we're trying to really connect with that. And there's nothing wrong with connecting the energy of those wonderful people who have lived before us, but really allowing and really spending time to get to know them, like Debbie said, as your friend. That to me, for my personal experience, has been the most beneficial thing I could have possibly done for my own life. As you spend time with your guides and you really allow their presence to be deep within your life, and you can do that as simply as when you're in any situation, just asking to just fill yourself with love and asking for that connection, and you'll be surprised at how it will help you in your everyday life. And I'm not talking about going into trance, in a grocery store. I'm just saying, having that presence of that vibration of purity and love with us. So personally, um, I've learned so much from just having that deep connection with my guides. And I don't know who they are for the most part either. Um, I but I know their presence and I know how they feel. I know who is with me by how they feel to me. Um, and that's the most important thing. Then you'll know when they start to come forward. You're like, oh, I know who's coming now. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I do talk to my main guy. I wash dishes and talk to him, and I go grocery store and said, "What do you think about this?"
I love that.
Even in your everyday life, right? How about you, Kim?
Yeah, absolutely. I just like you, Julie, my guides are my friends. I don't need to know their names, but thank God they have given them to me over the years, right? But it's by their energy. It's heart to heart. It's that love connection that we have together, and that is our bond. That's their calling card, right? It's on a vibration of purity, and we have known them forever and ever and ever, right? So we're just getting to re-know them in this incarnation. And they work with me all throughout the day. They are a part of me. As Malata mentioned earlier, we are one. And so it's not just when I'm doing trance that we work together. We work together on a deeper level then, yes, we do, most definitely. But they work with me and I work with them throughout the day. Like Julie says, washing dishes, right? Or going to the grocery store, or when I'm driving. They are part of who I am. They are part of my being. Yeah. It's a very special relationship. And once you understand that, how deep it is and how the purity of it is from heart to heart. So when they do come in, when you're going into trance, you can feel their energetic calling. Oh, that's Teaku. Oh, that's Sila, right? Or whomever they are to you, right?
But I
Yeah.
would suggest that if you're beginning in trance, that to get to know your main guide first before you go onto your team.
Yes, right.
Yeah,
And
'cause you
they'll
can
tell you who they
become very
are.
confused. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll let you know. I guess the love said to me one time, ask. You're not asking the right questions, right? It's up to us to ask, right? To get to know them, right?
Yeah,
Just
a lot of guidance we're receiving our head is not us. It's them giving us guidance during the day. Even when
yeah,
you're driving
right,
down the street, you see a stop sign and they'll say, "Oh, you don't, there's not a stop sign there, but you'll hear stop." And
right.
you realize why. That's happened to me a few times. It's your guide,
Yeah,
Kaz.
absolutely.
Kaz, would you like to chime in on that?
Yeah, I agree with everything the girls have said. You don't want to focus on who they are, but as you go down your journey and you get to understand their energy and how they bring their energy forward, because each guide will present differently and probably put their energy on you on a different place on your body, so you can work out that this is that guide and that's that guide. That's all you need to know. But as you take time to develop and you take time to build this relationship up with your guides, that's when you can start asking them little things, and if they're prepared to, they will let you know. My guide that I work with most at the moment isn't my main guide, but he's here to help me teach and to explain everything that needs to be said within the classes. And he explained to me, and I loved this, what he said about guides. He said, because I work in the Akashic Records, you see, he says to me, imagine how many lifetimes that you've had on Earth. And he says, imagine how many lifetimes most of the spirit guides have had. So they can present themselves how they wish to. So just because you've got say, like for argument's sake, an Indian chief coming forward that wants to work with you, or a nun or whatever, doesn't mean that they've always been that and they've always had that. They will have had other existences as well. So this is why we don't focus on it, because you need to know the energy of that soul that's connecting in. And soon as we get out of his heads about, what do you look like, who are you, and blah, 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 we just start to settle in and allow that blend to come in and allow them to really come in. And they are. When we're through the day, we said we're not going into trance, but as soon as you're starting to concentrate on something, you are in a slight altered state, and you can very easily talk to your guides, and they are there. They have been with you quite a long while with your existence, and they know you better than you know yourself, because they know you at spirit level when we're on the other side, whereas we only think of us in this human existence. But if you start to open it up and realize that we are spirit having a human experience, that makes it a lot different, because soon as we go back to spirit, it'll be, oh, hi, and you recognize them like that straight away, as you will with a lot of other people that you've met down here. You'll recognize them when you get over to the spirit world. So it's quite a vast subject, and it can be quite mind-blowing as well. But, your guides will get you through a multitude of things, especially when you're going through the harder points in life, grief and such as that. And they will help you through that, because when you connect to spirit, you're always connecting to a loving presence, a high vibrational light. And that's it. And talking about the bubbling up in white light, that's not needed, because we are linking into that beautiful, loving vibration. So why would we need to protect ourselves from that? You have to make sure that you're working from that loving space. It's all in the mind.
Yes, exactly. I agree. Yay. That's awesome. You guys are great. I came this year prepared with questions. I'm not usually prepared. So, but I did have a question. My mind went right out of it. It'll come back. Does anybody else want to chime in on what Kaz said? No. Okay, now I want to talk about how we hear that bad word deep. Because everyone always says, can you help me go deep? But if we go deep, we go to sleep. So we want to talk about depth. And another thing I want to head on is the soul. Our soul is source to spirit. It's not our physical body, it's our soul. So, Debbie?
Right, so first of all, let's look at going deep. So as soon as you say, I want to go deep, you're already in your mind. You're already putting out a demand, I want to go deep. And when you say that, you've already lost it in a way. So that it's more about letting go than going deep, because what will happen is each stage, as you allow yourself to let go, so instead of deep, it's surrender. Allow yourself to surrender. How we surrender is through the breath. So it's like, okay, taking the breath, I'm aware at this level here. I let go. I've allowed myself to expand. So rather than going deep, you're allowing yourself to let go. And that's the only way I can bring it forward. Because going deep is you're just in your mind. Okay? Does that make sense to you? Yeah.
Well, I think also I do it's when they speak about trust, somebody asked a question about trust, it's trusting yourself. When I first started out this years ago, people said trust. I was like, trust. And I realized over time you have to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you will start allowing and surrendering a lot more.
Yeah. And what actually happens as well, so say for instance, coming back to a level again, so we're sitting and we've gone into that trance state and okay, and you're just all of a sudden you think, oh wow, this is just lovely. But we want to hold on to that, don't we? Oh, this is lovely. I just stay, oh, I don't want to. And as soon as we think that, we lose it. So when you take the breath in and you let go, you expand rather than holding on to that moment. So you're letting go, you're surrendering, and this is what it is. Rather than thinking deep, surrender to the moment or wherever you are at that moment.
And surrendering. So surrendering is surrendering to self, allowing yourself
Yes,
to go into that
yes.
state.
Yeah.
Mulata, you are really good at letting go too. And someone asked, what do you mean by letting go? So
Part of it, I feel like Debbie said, you recognize how lovely it is. You have to, instead of having the desire to do something, you know how it is, we get attached to our to-do list. So you start to work with spirit and then your mind's wandering off to something that's wrong, perceived wrong as in life or your to-do list. We have to have the desire to spend time with spirit. And as we start to feel that beautiful energy come forth and be with us, just to be, we have to have that intention and that feeling of this is where I'm supposed to be. Nothing else is needed at this moment. So surrendering, letting go, being only in this moment right now, no other moments, and really having that intention and that desire and saying, it's okay for me to be only here right now, only feeling this right now, and just letting that feeling grow with you, around you, through you. Our soul, we a lot of times we think, well, the soul is like it's inside of our body, but our our soul is our body is encapsulated by spirit. The physical body isn't it's not like a little jug of water and our soul is that water inside the jug. Our soul is the bigger entity, the bigger experience, the bigger essence. The physical body is a manifestation of that essence into the physical realm, but so sometimes I think we don't place enough importance on what the soul is saying to us. So when we're blending like this, when we're allowing and we're surrendering, we are in essence letting the soul speak to us, because instead of doing the to-do list and all the things in the world and it's a mess and this and that, we're just allowing that essence to speak and the guides with us. So that's kind of what I would say about it.
As
Yeah, the letting go, to me, happens in a couple of stages, because you can stop yourself, physically put blocks on yourself to stop that beautiful connection happening. So to me, point number one of letting go is making sure, like my lad was saying, you've got that quiet mind. um, you know, Getting rid of the shopping list. We call it monkey mind, where it's constantly whirring and you start thinking, and that is the ego human mind. We're not talking of ego in a nasty way, it's our humanness, and it's speaking to us. So we've got to train ourselves to quieten the mind and to be still. We also need to be still within. And that's what we're doing. We're breathing, we're letting go of our humanness essence, if you want, to allow spirit to spirit connection. But I also want to come to the voice box with this as well, and talking about letting go there. And this is done with a breath, and it's done with a big word of trust. So if you can imagine, I always tell the students about the tarot card of the fool jumping off the cliff, but there's a hand to catch, and that's what it is. It's letting go of this voice box and knowing that nothing bad's going to happen, and that spirit are going to speak, and that's all it is. But so many students at beginners level, you can see them swallowing, holding it back, and not letting it out. And eventually it will build up into an energy that you go, ugh, and it has to come out. And that's when you start speaking. And at that, oh, I've got my shivers here. And at that moment in time, this is when the trust starts to come in. When you get that click of realization, the light bulb comes on, that you're letting go of the mind, you're not blocking the voice coming forward, and you're really expanded and blended in that moment in time, but deep. When we say deep, we've got to be in that stage just before theta. If you go past it, you're asleep. So we need to get into that level, and you might feel your energy dropping down if you do it correctly. And all it is I say, you're just making room for your friend to come and have a conversation with you, and that's all it is. It doesn't feel weird, it feels natural, because you are blended in this beautiful loving energy. So I hope that explains it from my point.
Awesome. You want to chime in, Kim?
Well, I don't know how to chime in after Kaz. I mean, that was great, Kaz. Yeah, it goes like Debbie says, the breath, going back to the prana, that's your start. And then as you're going, connecting, it's like Malada says, you're connecting with the soul, your soul. And I'm going to go right back to what I said earlier, from spirit to spirit through spirit. We're letting go of the physical. We're letting go of this mind that is constantly moving. And it's supposed to do that, right? It's our computer. It's supposed to move. But what we're trying to do is connect with our soul, shed this body, this physical body for a moment, and get to be with our spiritual family, our friends, and let them, we come together in a partnership, we step out of the way, come together as one, and let them come forward and do their job.
So, another thing too is when we go into trance, a lot of times what beginners do is that they're too much in their mind as far as waiting to feel or hear something, when they really should be descending within the body. If you descend within the body, your mind follows the body and the breath down, and eventually you go down. You just can't concentrate on what you're thinking about. Just allow it to go away. Debbie, chime in, please.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point, and as I said, it all comes back to the breath, when you're just starting out, and it's when we bring our awareness to following the breath, then what happens is the mind becomes subdued. We can't stop the chatter, but you can subdue it. So as you allow yourself just to feel the breath, and it's like feeling the breath as you breathe in and following the breath down, it actually takes you into that place of grounding without having to think about, I'm grounding myself. You're just following this beautiful flow of your breath, and as you're breathing in and you're breathing out, you just feel yourself becoming one. And you're just in this moment. And through that connection, you become aware. And that's the word, aware, of those in spirit that are stepping closer. They're already there with you, but they're stepping closer. And as you sit within this beautiful element of this trust, you're moving with the energy of spirit. You're not separate from it. You're moving with it. So what comes forward is natural. There's no thought in it. You're just there. Yeah, does that make sense?
A lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really does. And you get that, I always call it the click. Sometimes it's literally a click. When you don't think you're getting anywhere, then all of a sudden you feel that click, and it's like you guiding, you clicking in, your mind stops, and
Yeah, you're just flowing.
yeah,
It's like when
floating.
you can actually feel the flow of the energy and you realize, I'm here. This is me. I'm not separate from it. This is me and I am it. We are all one. We're connected. And that's when the essence of feeling that beautiful bond with spirit, as you're flowing within the flow of the energy. We are energy. We're connected to it. It's our minds at this moment is more active, yeah. So we're thinking. But as we start to slow down, we just become one with everything. And we move with that rather than thinking about it.
You see,
You're already there. You're already there.
she already makes you feel like going in a trance, doesn't she? Good about that, you know.
I just love it. I just love spirit.
I know we all do. We love you, Debbie. We're all spirit. So anyway, let's talk about theatrical trance. A lot of people are coming out with this theatric stuff that I'm sorry, but it's discernment where they can't control the energy, or they're being really loud or boisterous. And what would you say about that, Milada?
What I say about that? You know, the essence of spirit is love. And so I feel like if there's ever anything that does not feel loving in an experience with a medium, you know, in a trance state or otherwise, if there's anything that ever feels um, judgmental or unloving, then that is not in keeping with the truth of spirit, because spirit is just pure love. There's no judgment. There's no unkindness. There's always compassion. Now that doesn't mean that a spirit guide won't give help and be discerning. You know, that doesn't mean that a spirit guide won't assist you maybe and say something like, it may help you to sit with spirit more each day, and that's a discernment, you know. But harshness and judgment, anything that's unloving, in my experience, is definitely not spirit. Um, yeah.
How about you, Kim?
Yeah, spirit, like Melissa says, they don't judge. They are very loving. I mean, have the loves gotten after me a couple times with loving kindness like a parent would? Of course. They want what's best for us. Um, but they're never going to scold in a harsh way. And they're never going to be mean. It is all from love. And when it comes to theatrics, I think we know, because we can feel, right, with our discernment, is that ego or is that spirit? And does spirit have a personality? Yes, they do. Um, when they come through in trance, but they're not going to be overly stated, I guess, right? Um, and I guess it's in the message. What is the message? And is it loving? Is it kind? Then that's from spirit. If it's judgmental, if it's harsh, um, if it's real flamboyant, then that probably isn't spirit. That's more of the person's ego that is involved. Yeah.
Yeah, but when we speak about personality, we want to be careful because a lot of people will go, when they come into trance, okay, you see demonstrations with trance mediums that have a personality coming through. You want to be careful how we say that because a lot of beginners expect it. So a lot of times the personalities don't come through. Sometimes they do. Yours does. I've seen Debbie's, Kaz's, and Grumpy comes through, but it shouldn't be an intention or expected. We should just
Right.
allow a
Just
natural
allow.
development. Kaz, did you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, I totally fully agree with what the girls have said. When you are first starting out, though, you can get into that vortex of energy and it can make you swirl around a little bit because you can really feel it. But by coming to the breath and the understanding of it, because the teacher will come forward and tell you about it, you will be able to get into the hold better. That's what the hold is all about, being grounded. Because when the chakras do open up and you get that connection in your sacral, you get the connection in your solar plexus, you can get quite a few sensations and, it can feel sickly. But, we can slow that down. If you've got spirit coming through and you are thrashing around with your arms, like Magnus Magnusson and that, I would say that something not quite right there. But my guide has got personality and he does let it through. He likes to have a little cheeky laugh now and again. And to me, there's nothing wrong with that. That is spirit being spirit. They connect to you and you will find that your guides will have a similar level of personality to your own as well. That's what I've come to understand. But there are some mediums out there that are extremely theatrical, and it's like the play acting. And I'm not dissing saying that the spirit aren't coming through. They probably are, but they're not down enough to control what's going on, because it is said with love, you are blending with love, and more often than not, you will just sit and you will allow spirit to speak. Some people are lucky enough to have a change of vibration in the voice, so you will hear the voice shift and change. Other people don't, and that's fine. You work as you work. We're all individuals, and you allow spirit to work with you how they need to work. But always have that discernment. If you're letting the ego mind come into control and you are starting to do certain things or say certain things, certainly on a political aspect, I would wonder if that is spirit speaking or is it your thoughts coming through that you've either heard in media or wherever coming through and it's melding together, so you're not in that full state of trance. Like Malada said, spirit will only come through and speak in a loving aspect, regardless of what they're asked to speak about.
They're not really involved in our worldly politics at all.
No.
Debbie?
Can
Debbie,
I
you
can
guys
I
been
just bring
following?
something through there? Yeah, this is just something that's really, just remember everybody's on their journey, okay? It's really, really important to remember this. People can cross your path and you can be reflecting back to them and bringing forward a lesson for them. So nothing that we experience, whether we experience someone that is theatrical, they're on a journey there that they are learning. And through each aspect of their development, there's something that's going to come forward that will help them understand, maybe because it could be that they've crossed your path because you're bringing a healing through for them. They're teaching you. Always remember, we can sit in front of someone and we think, we look at them and in a way we're judging. We have to be honest now that we are judging because of what we're seeing. But when we can take a step back and say, this person's come in front of my path for a reason, they're teaching me something. Maybe they're teaching me not to judge. Yeah, so we have to look at the bigger picture here, for everything that we do when we're connecting with
The
spirit.
question wasn't put forth for judgment, it was for discernment. So
No, but that's what I'm saying. But as we are looking at it, you know, there's two ways that I can't, I think it's just the healer part of me,
I
you know,
know,
I
and I think
just,
it's awesome, but wouldn't you agree that maybe if you have a student in front of you that's doing it, you can help them ground a little bit better and get them down to,
exactly. It's teaching them in a way that you're showing them compassion, you're showing them kindness through the way that you teach them so that they can come back to themselves. Think about it, they've lost themselves. They're trying to be something that they are not. It's not a representation of them. So when you're bringing them back to find the true sense of them, it's the work that you're doing for them. But what's happening is you're learning through it as well,
I agree.
you know?
But it
Yeah,
wasn't a
yeah,
question for judgment, it was a question of
yeah,
discernment. You know,
yeah.
we really do as teachers, we need to discern. Milana?
Mhm.
I wanted to just mention one more thing that kind of ties in with all this is how it feels to us. So how it feels to us as a medium and how it feels to us as a sitter. So when a medium is giving you a message and it's from spirit, you can feel the rightness of that message. So as a medium and as a sitter, we feel that in our body, we feel that in our heart, in our essence of what is that this is a message for me and it's coming through and it feels right. So when you're sitting with someone, this can be a way for you to just understand the connection that you have medium to sitter, whether whichever way you are posed at that moment. That can help us to know a guide coming through that for us or not. And then the other thing I would say with discernment is that the guides know exactly what that person sitting in front of them needs to hear, needs to feel. And so there if there's something that is completely off kilter coming from medium as trance medium to sitter, it's not necessarily I would say a great a great blend with that spirit guide. It's not maybe not a pure blend because the guides know what that sitter needs to hear. So that's just another thing, how it feels, and that spirit really does know what we need to feel and hear. And that doesn't mean, of course, like Debbie said, that we don't have compassion and understanding that there's always a reason that every single experience is going on with us and for us for our best development too. So anyway.
Debbie?
No, yeah, yeah, do it. You have to have discernment. So I'm looking at probably more from a student's point of view. If I have a student and I feel, so I would look into the energy first of all, and I'd be connecting in and feeling. So what is it? Where is it that they need to feel that they need to be theatrical? So, yes, as someone says, creating a safe place first for them to start to let go because they haven't let go if they're in this state of having to put on this show. It's not them, they're in their ego. But what has caused that? So I tend to try and look at what's caused it, create a safe place to bring them back and working with them. So it can be really damaging if that medium is with a sitter and they don't have a safe place because what they're doing is they're projecting onto the sitter, the person that's receiving the information, so you can see how two can become damaged.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's where I feel in the sense of within the classes, I'm very aware of the energy of each person that's in my circle and
You know,
working with them individually. Yeah.
but with respect to it, to all of this, I have I have seen it happening a lot. Not with your classes, but with some are being allowed to do theatric and do demonstrations theatrically when they should be
No.
being taken with compassion from the teacher,
Yes. Yes.
healing
Absolutely, Julie.
so anyway,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that
No.
wasn't meant
Absolutely.
put it out there because I'm finding so many people are coming into trance thinking they're going to be theatrical because they're seeing other theatrics and they want to be like that person. Does that
Yeah,
make
that's
sense?
understandable. Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
discernment's very important.
yeah, very much so, very much so.
Anybody else want to chime in on that? Any questions from you guys? Ken?
I'm going to chime in. Yeah, I think, that we, if somebody's being theatrical, yes, it's definitely a healing opportunity for all involved. And I think that we do a disservice if we can't use honesty, right? And through love and kindness. And I think that is beneficial for all parties involved. Is just some loving honesty. Um, and that's where the healing begins, through communication. So that's all I got for that.
That was wonderful. Does anybody else have any questions? Would anybody like to ask any questions? Danielle, do you have your hand up? Cool.
Just didn't want to interrupt. Thank you guys. I feel so grateful to hear what I've heard because, like Julie said, this whole discernment, that's what my guides have been like pushing in my face for the past so long because I've been in so many groups and I've just not felt the authentic connection of love for the service of spirit. Sorry, I've got kids running through, but my question is on in this beautiful panel of trance mediums, I'm looking for a mentor that wants to help me in my business, and I plan on starting a trance group in a year from now when my grief journey is a little bit moved on. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there, and I'm kind of resonate with who I resonate the most with, but I'm looking for a mentor because I do a lot of service work and just one for and with spirit. So putting
Danielle, I
that
would
out there.
suggest that you contact who you resonate with. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're
Okay.
not going to contact you. It's
Okay.
best that you
Cool.
contact them. Cool. Louise,
Okay.
thank you, Danielle. That was beautiful.
So would I just reach out to whoever in this
Yes,
group? Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome. Louise,
Hi, Cass. When you were talking before, you mentioned slowing down. How do you slow down? Is it through your breath? I'm a little confused about that.
Yeah, it's when I mentioned slowing down, I'm on about the mind racing, and you might get a few palpitations and such. So we need to slow the energy down, and all we do is we just come to the breath. And as you're breathing in and out, and you're taking the long breaths where your lungs are fully getting all that oxygen in, and you're then fully breathing it all out, which we call the long quantum breath. That slows the energy down. And it also, you can use that not just in trance, you can use that throughout your day. If you're getting anxious or et up about anything, just come back to that long, deep breath and fully get that oxygen in. And it just slows the energy down. And you start to feel that loving peace around you. That's all it is. It's all breath. But instead of taking the shallow breath that we tend to do, being as human people, just to connect in and take the longer breaths and let
Thank
it
you.
push out, and it does just slow you down.
Thank you very much. Was actually a solution-based counselor, and we learned box breathing, and I've meditated, and we learned deep breathing too. And yeah, it's so amazing. But when you were referring to that, I didn't totally understand, but now it's completely clarified. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Debbie, you want to chime in on that too?
Yeah, so I want you all to close your eyes, okay? And I want you just to feel your breath. Feel your natural breath as you breathe in. And you breathe out your natural breath. Notice the sensations that you feel in your body. I just want you to come back to me now and just open your eyes. Take a breath in and breathe out. Right there is where you've slowed your breath down. You've slowed your body down just with that breath, your natural breath. And then what it shows you is you have control. You have control of your breath. You have control of your body. And
Thank you, Debbie.
that's your strength. You're welcome.
You can use that technique when you're driving, and a car almost hits you too, because I've done it before.
Me too, me too.
Right.
I suffered because I'm so connected to energy. I would suffer from panic attacks.
Mm.
Okay, even now, because I'm so connected with the energy. It doesn't matter where I am, I go into that breath. If I'm in crowd and I've been taken off guard, I go into that breath, doesn't matter where I am, and within a few seconds, I've regulated my nervous system.
I know
Yeah.
when we look to spirit so much, it definitely.
Yeah, oh, I did. Well, like when I was in the hospital, I was in getting an operation to get my gallbladder out, just not Christmas Eve, the Christmas before. And when I was under the machine, the scanner machine, they had to keep saying to me, "Can you breathe deeper?" Because I was breathing so shallow because I just go into this place. You see, you have the control. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Does anybody else have any questions before we wrap up? Well, guys, thank you for coming today. We're going to close now. Just hopefully, if you
Thank
guys have
you
any
so much,
questions,
Julie.
you're welcome. If you're looking for a mentor, Kaz, Milada, Kim, or Debbie, teacher, Debbie or Kaz, I personally am coming back on my teaching. I've got a few classes that are full now, so these are the teachers you want to reach out to and mentors. And I'm not taking on any more mentorships, so if anybody needs a mentor, you got them right in front of you. Heard for you today. So thank you, guys, and I will also put in the description where you can reach Debbie, Milada, Kim, and Kaz, and this will be uploaded on YouTube. Okay.
Thank you all, ladies.
Thanks for
Thank
coming,
you very
guys.
much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
God bless.